rolling tumors to roaring lampooners, the Tigers on a Roll show starts in 3, 2, 1.
All right, welcome back to Tigers on a Roll. We are live again today. Audio issues with our guest from earlier today, so we're going to have to reshoot this one solo dolo today. Like I said in the stream earlier today, since this is going to be going on YouTube, quick note on the Tigers on a Prowl segment yesterday. The basketball game is next Thursday. It is just the next matchup that they have. So it's the next game that they have on their schedule. Mentioned it today since Stephen Pearl had a presser, and it is next Thursday in Atlanta. So make a note of that. And I really do hope that we can get these audio issues figured out, because our guest that we have regularly, Tyler, if you've caught his name before, is certainly a ball knower, very tapped in to happenings around Auburn, especially when it comes to football. And he is a big data analyst, and he is an asset to the show, but we would never know that because we can't hear him for some odd reason. So we have got IT working on that. With that being said, this is another one of those more unscripted episodes, because we are going to do a bit of a reaction, or what's our take on Hugh Freeze's presser yesterday. And he had some very interesting commentary, whether or not it was a positive look for him and the program's current state. But here we go. Starts off right off the rip. All right, guys, we've got to put the disappointment from Saturday night behind us. We can't let it linger, and we have to move on. He is certainly not letting it linger, because every single Saturday press conference he's had that we have been trashed in matchups we should have won, this man says we'll get back to it Monday. Buddy, the next day is Sunday, and you should be in the damn office doing your job and figuring it out. If you don't think that there are coaching staffs in office Saturday night after a game, and even an all day Sunday, Auburn is losing at least 12 business days of figuring out how to make this team better than it is now and turning the corner that he thinks we are so close to. And that brings me to the next interesting take that he had, which is a fair point. We've faced 4 opponents with a combined score of 25-3. They're a record of 25-3. They're really, really good teams. When I look at how close we are to winning each of those games, it honestly gives me a lot of hope. I am glad that it gives Hugh Freeze hope, which goes to why I think he was jovial and did not seem at all concerned with his job security during the Monday presser. I do not think that many fans are holding out much hope, if they have any left, at 0-4 in the SEC. We are close to winning, certainly. But when you're close to winning, you're just losing. So, as much as everyone wants to hold out hope, maybe Hugh doesn't know this yet, but the majority of Auburn fans want him fired. And I think that we need to keep the team together. And if you watch the pod on Sunday morning, there's 2 outcomes to this. One is Hugh Freeze is the head coach next year, with an offensive coordinator taking full play calling duties. Hopefully keeps the team together. Hugh Freeze gets fired, and we bring in a younger head coach, there's 2 options there. Young head coach, offensive mind, brings in some staff, has his OC, potentially even replaces the DC. Or you get an experienced guy that has an actual guru at offensive coordinator. And either way you slice it, you either have Hugh and a new OC, or you have a whole new staff, like an actual OC, but a new face as the head of the program. And, those are the conversations that are being had pretty much everywhere except in Hugh's circle. So whether or not we're close, I think the lens you look at that in is yeah, we're close to winning, but being close to winning is just losing. So if we really want to turn the corner, that's winning games. So you can't be close. You actually have to go do it. And we will see if we can do it against Arkansas this weekend. I am not convinced. We'll see. We will see, and we'll get into that at the end of the pod. But that is something that we've heard plenty of times in the last few weeks. Is we are close, and to give credit where credit's due to this program, we're not ranked. We were very briefly, but we are not ranked. We are not a ranked team because we continue to lose these games. But you're an underdog in all of these matchups and have not proven any ability to win as an underdog in 3 years. And you haven't even proved the ability to win games as a favored team in some instances. So the fact that we've dropped all those games, I predicted it other than the A&M game. I thought we were going to lose those games, but boy, are we not actually very close. And we're certainly not as close as I think Hugh is trying to convince everyone they are. Maybe he forgot people actually watch the games, and the 87,000 people at Jordan Hare that have basically not seen a home win against an SEC team in 3 years, other than the quadruple overtime against A&M last year. Is like, come on, buddy. You haven't seen a home win in quite some time. It's very rare. So, maybe stop saying that. That would be my suggestion. Let's see here. Probably don't want to harp on, trying to forget about those losses and keep thinking we're close. So I'm going to skip some of those talking points and go straight to the personnel updates. He was asked if he looked at a change in quarterback. He says, so the quarterback, we'll do Connor Lew after this. He says that he is preparing Ashton Daniels and Jackson Arnold. Period. He is not. There is no plan right now to get Deuce Knight any game preparation reps going into Saturday, let alone probably the rest of the games except Mercer. I mean, I don't know why you would say that out loud. Like, the one thing Hugh Freeze needs is probably a PR person, because he talks way too much, and that's coming from me, a dude by myself rambling about him. He talks way too much. You should not. First of all, what does that do to Deuce's confidence? I mean, I'm sure they have had the QB room meets and they've had conversations about the outlook on playing time for the season. But you say it out loud. What is he just knows? He's like, nope, no shot. Third on the depth chart. I mean, which he should, right? Freshman, but third on the depth chart. Confidence, we've been walking on eggshells about QB confidence all season, and you're just going to go out there and be like, yeah, we're prepping 2 of our 3 quarterbacks, and the highest rated quarterback we've ever brought in is just no shot that he's going to play. We're not going to get him any reps in practice to prepare for this winnable Arkansas matchup. It's the worst defense in the SEC. Deuce Knight could probably beat them, but didn't go that direction. And then B on that same front, you just showed Bobby there is no way that Deuce Knight is going to get in this game with any type of preparation. So we are going to just prepare off of the film they have for Ashton Daniels and Jackson Arnold. They're going to go watch that film and they're going to be like, okay, we'll prepare for those 2. That's fine. Thanks a lot, Hugh. That's great. Thanks for letting us know. I thought that was probably not handled the best, but it is what it is. And to his credit, I suppose, is he literally cannot tell a lie. So it is what it is. We'll move on to Cale Ellis being promoted the starter. Connor Lew tears his ACL. He is asked about that, the center situation. And then he says, on top of Cale battling his tail off, they are also going to get Mason in there at some center and get him some reps coming over from the tackle spot. And Hugh does say, which is a great confidence booster, is Mace very smart and he understands the calls that they need to make, and he can do them when called upon. And then so he and Cale Ellis will be battling it out this week to see who gets the starting job at center against Arkansas. And then Dylan Cinda, I believe, is in the mix on that front as well. which he also went right from the center positional battle right now, I guess you could call it. And he went right into another take on Jackson. He says you got to look at everything when it's the quarterback. Jackson plays well, and he did in the first half of the last two games. So they are asking themselves, why don't we win when Jackson is playing well? So they're going to give Jackson and Ashton the reps, and then they're going to ultimately start Jackson Arnold again this week on the road against Arkansas. And I guess we're just going to sit here with our fingers crossed and hope that they practice harder, like he's going to demand out of them. And then, hopefully Jackson figures it out and goes into another SEC road environment and figures out how to find the quote unquote winning ways. And I hope he does. And I think he might have the tools for it. But I'm not all that confident that they actually are demanding more of these guys in practice. Especially after some rumors on the defensive side of the ball suggest that they practice hard and they practice as a unit. And on the offensive side of the ball is essentially a bunch of guys just doing whatever it is that they want to do, and really leaning on their, quote unquote skill position, talents to just do pretty much whatever they want at practice, which I suppose is not related to the presser, but another reports out of practice today, Tuesday, October 21st. All three of the kickers looked terrible. I don't think that that's going to be a holdover for the weekend. I think that special teams guys like that sometimes have, tough days, or their mind's just not in it. And an early week practice, I don't think is going to be suggestive of how they're going to perform on Saturday. I will say though, that is not that great of a look when you an open portion of practice and you're missing field goals by a mile with the entire kicking room. Literally 48 hours after losing a game in double overtime, and we left 6 points on the field on field goals alone. So don't love that. Again, I hope they are going out there and they are demanding more of the players like they said they would. I don't know why you wouldn't demand more of the players in spring ball and preseason, and you're just now thinking about it, 7 weeks into the thing. But I'm not paid to coach this team, so that's up to them, and we'll see how that mentality pans out on Saturdays, with the few remaining football Saturdays we have guaranteed to us this season at least. He was asked if he had talked to John Cohen since Saturday night, and would a statement of support from the AD, what would that mean to him? He said it would be huge, which of course it would be. It would be huge, and it would make everyone, quote, everyone, feel a lot better for sure. I haven't talked to John. I will say he has been so supportive ever since my hire. I don't get too much into their job. They have a job to do, but I know how close we are. Again, I know I can get this fixed. We're too darn close. I mean, the guy's got to fight for his job. So yeah, saying we are too darn close, and it's like, are you the guy that's going to get us there? I mean, if you think you've been getting us closer and closer and closer, hopefully you're just saying, John, let me stick around until we do it. It's like, okay, fine, fair enough. First of all, answering that question, being like, okay, everyone, obviously people around college football have been having that, vote of confidence from their ADs. And it's like, you sit here and you're like, yeah, it'd be great. That's fine. It'd be great, but I haven't talked to him since we lost a game in double overtime that we should have won. We're favored to win at one point. What do you mean you haven't talked to him? First of all, I don't buy that. Maybe they didn't have a formal conversation in the sense of like what Hugh's job security is or something, or like, really getting into the weeds about what it was about. But I don't believe that, because they have had those conversations night of the game and the next day, the last few SEC matchups at least, because they've been calling the SEC officiating office every Sunday. And it's like, I know he's talking to him. And, he doesn't really lie, so I have no reason to believe that he's lying, but I find it hard to believe that You walk off of that field after getting beat in double overtime with two of your offensive players having the best games of the season so far. And there was no conversation had with the guy who was ultimately controlling your future at this school. I don't believe that, but you know what? It's probably best for the fan base not to hear about it if it did happen. So, maybe Hugh played that one the right way. But Hugh thinks that he can get it fixed. Hugh thinks they're close. Hugh obviously thinks that he has the support of John Cohen, and John Cohen hasn't said either way whether or not he supports him, other than the questions that he was asked directly about if he would replace his car, and then he just said, "Yeah, I mean, I have no reason to not believe that my car would start when I go out there and try to turn it on." So maybe they both just need to stop answering questions. But you know what? They got a good relationship, and hopefully Hugh can turn the corner. But I don't think that he's going to get that vote of confidence he wants. And every hour that goes by without that press release being published is not great optics for the program, and certainly not great optics for Hugh. We've got some development. Perry, I'm not going to get into what he said because I don't know why he said when he got here he didn't know how to practice, and then threw Malcolm in with that. It's like, yes, they were freshmen last year. Like, obviously they needed to adjust to college football, but the essence of it was positive, and Perry did play out of his mind. He did really well. I like that he's getting incorporated into this team more and more each week. Not only is he a stud athlete, he is one of the best downfield blocking wide receivers I have seen us have in at least a few years. Like, the kid is grinding it out, and then he's also getting out there and some drops, but catching first downs and things like that. Good for him. Hugh Freeze ultimately said, "I couldn't be more proud of the man. Truthfully, when he got here, he had no idea how to practice. The talent was there, but he didn't know how to take a release or what different coverages looked like. To see him now starting to enjoy the game and having success, that's really what coaching is all about, developing these guys." Great. And I hope that they stick around to be developed. But, big shout out to Perry, and I'm glad that he came up in the press conference. And Hugh turned that quote around a little bit more positively than it was rolling off his tongue to begin with. And Alex McPherson, which I believe he called him Evan, which is his older brother, obviously, that kicks for the Bengals. Or the reporter asked him, said, "Coach, Evan McPherson's night was uncharacteristic." Obviously meant Alex. Where's his confidence level? Hugh Freeze, again, to his credit, supporting these guys, which he better, because it's not really, some people are saying it's Hugh's fault. Some people are saying it's the kid's fault. Like, maybe it's everyone's fault. Maybe it's one or the other. Like, who knows right now? But at least he's sticking around in these depressing times, like, boosting these kids' confidence. He just doesn't seem to be able to do it on Saturday when it matters, because they have been reportedly defeated or deflated the last few weekends on Saturday nights, and we have got to avoid that. Anyway, Hugh Freeze says, "I believe in Alex McPherson, and he believes in himself. It's the first time he's missed 2 kicks inside the 40 in his career," which is so unfortunate to happen during that matchup when we needed those points so badly to make a difference in that game. And then they go out on Tuesday morning and don't really improve, visually. But I do think that they are going to get their minds right before Saturday, and that kicking room will probably be all right. But it's had its struggles, unfortunately. So that's just kind of where we are with that. But I'm glad that, with all of Alex's health woes, that he was able to, get some peace of mind from his coach at the presser after a game like that. And we're gonna skip most of this QB talk here because we've already touched on it. But he basically said there's zero room for excuses and they have to demand more. Like I said, I don't know why you wouldn't have been demanding the most out of all the players prior to going into the season, let alone week 7 or 8, as most coaches would. But anyway, they're going to demand more now. So, I really hope that they do. and maybe the kids will hold themselves even more accountable than they already do. More power to these players, and credit due to all of them. When you talk to these kids, like, their heads are still in it. They may be defeated momentarily on the sidelines on Saturday because they don't really have faith that they can come back. But during the week, like, the kids are saying the right things on camera, and to the journalists and reporters and things like that. And ultimately, it seems like they are still trying to achieve their goals. And whether it's, ending 8-4, winning Saturday, winning the day, doing better at practice than you did the day before. I mean, all of those things are certainly admirable, and they're holding up their end of the bargain. So hopefully the coaching staff and Hugh Freeze can hold up their end of the bargain going into this weekend against Arkansas. And that brings us directly to the question: did you see a change or an improvement in the sideline energy, especially in the fourth quarter and overtime? Hugh says, it was a definite different feel and energy. I didn't see anyone quit. Both sides were trying to encourage one another, and I thought we took a big step in the right direction. There were a lot of people picking up the guys who had some critical drops, and Alex obviously had plenty of encouragement. The energy on the sideline was really, really good. All of which you hope to hear. I just addressed, and obviously Hugh Freeze said he saw it. And if that is the case, and we are starting to get more mentally tough and have some fortitude, maybe we can avoid situations like Oklahoma and second half of Georgia and those last couple of drives, A&M, and even Southern Alabama, South Alabama. Second half was not good, and I don't know if that was a mental issue, mental execution maybe, but mental fortitude potentially also. And that's really that in terms of all when I listened to it, what I had heard and wanted to point out during the Monday press conference, because I think we're getting into very murky waters in terms of Hugh's job security and the buy-in of these kids to this team to play another, what are we at now? 5 games, something like that. So, and you need them to finish the season. Whether or not they transfer at this point is neither here nor there. You need these kids to all be bought in every game until the Iron Bowl, and then potentially a bowl game, which brings us to a look back at the ESPN FPI predictions for the season so far and the upcoming, and whether or not I agree with them. We have got right now, we are here at Arkansas. Okay, here we are. Away at Baylor, we had a 48% chance to win via the ESPN FPI win prediction. It predicted Baylor. We won. It missed. Ball State, we had 96. We won. South, 89%. We won. Oklahoma, we had a 41% chance to win that game. We didn't win it. Fine. Texas A&M, 26% chance to win. Didn't win it. Fine. Georgia, even with our hot start, we were still climbing the mountain, which would have been a 27% chance to win. We didn't win. However, you need to turn the corner when you play in a game that you were favored in, which was us at home against Missouri, a night game at Missouri. 58% chance to win, and we lost in double overtime. And the ESPN FPI predictor was picking Auburn. So it is incredibly unfortunate that we could not that we got the script flipped on us, and also couldn't flip the script on the teams where we didn't really have a chance to win according to the FPI anyway. Which brings us up here to the second half of the season, really. Arkansas, it is predicting Arkansas. Bobby Petrino has got those kids righted. I'm not really sure what maybe it's Taylon Green. Arkansas right now has a 50.7 chance to win. It's a toss-up game. There's no question about that. home field advantage and Taylon Green being a dual threat quarterback potentially are, the factors that play into that. But Auburn's defense is strong. And I don't know that we're struggling to turn people over anymore. I mean, we had a couple on Saturday. Like I think we're getting our defensive backs into positions to start getting turnovers on interceptions through the air. And we definitely hit hard enough to get some turnovers on the ground and pop the peanut out and see what we can do there. But it's picking Arkansas to win. I haven't seen Auburn prove to me that they can win, certainly not on the road in the SEC. I also am going to go into Saturday assuming that Arkansas wins, but you also want to hope and pray that Auburn goes in there with a real plan for 4 quarters and kids that are all still bought in and all able to take it to this, middling Arkansas team and come out of there with a win. That'd be great. Anyway, ESPN FPI picks Arkansas to win. Versus Kentucky, it is picking Auburn to win. Auburn, their score prediction right now is 23-20, and that is back at home. Mark Stoops has really never gotten these boys at Kentucky to meld all together and play well on both sides of the ball at the same time. So take that for what it's worth, but it is picking Auburn to win against Kentucky, and it is picking Auburn to win 31-20 at Vandy. Love to see that. I don't know if I buy that yet, but maybe it's assuming that they have some sort of fall off with, Diego Pavia or something happening, kind of their running back room or their wideouts, or maybe they have a bad special teams day. I don't know what it's seeing. It's picking Auburn to win at Vandy. Love to see that. Obviously, it's handing Auburn the win against Mercer, 48-10, bringing us to the Iron Bowl. It is saying Auburn loses the Iron Bowl 27-17, but we all know that it is a rivalry where anything can happen. The main issue is right now, realistically, Alabama has righted their ship and they have recovered and they are now, top whatever it is, top 10, top 5, whatever they're at. They got a Heisman contention quarterback. Like, they are fine. Like, they didn't drop another one. Maybe they dropped this one. I don't know. Auburn is going to need to raise the level of play that they are bringing to games on Saturdays significantly to compete in this one. I don't know right now. I think we need a better feel of it as we get towards the end of November. 27-17. That's a relatively close game. Obviously, that'd be pretty similar to Georgia. But what we're looking at here is going to be a lot more clear when we get to the end of November and we see what Auburn is working with and what Alabama's working with going into this game. And if that holds up, Auburn is finishing 6-6, 2-6 in the SEC with a shot at the Duke's Mayo Bowl, the Gator Bowl, the Texas Bowl, Liberty Bowl, Music City Bowl, Birmingham Bowl, and the Gasparilla Bowl. We would all love to go to a bowl game. Finish 6-6 and see what happens. Just see what happens. We don't know what will happen with the staff. We might, as we get closer to those decisions being made, depending on whether or not people are happy with 6-6 and maybe a bowl win. You really hope right now, because you're still looking at 8-4. You really hope that's it, and you really hope it isn't worse than 5-7. You really hope it isn't, but we will see. We will see. And we will see if Auburn football can get on a roll here towards the end of the season. And if you can win the Arkansas game, the Kentucky game, and the Vandy game, you're going to win the Mercer game. You're sitting really pretty and you're looking really good. So let's see if they can get on a roll. And Tigers, thanks for being on a roll with us while I'm on a roll. Like, share, subscribe. It helps me out a lot. And I'm really hoping to get this figured out with the guests so that we can bring you guys some even better content. But as always, we appreciate it, and we might have a sponsorship announcement early next week for everybody to check out if you are in the East Alabama, West Georgia area. And that is exciting stuff for us. But please like, share, subscribe. You can follow us on Twitch, on YouTube, on Twitter, all at Tigers on a Roll. So, Tigers, thanks for staying on a roll with me, and you make sure that you stay on a roll.